Caroline Curran is an actor and writer, best known as her on-stage persona of Maggie Muff and her sellout Christmas shows. Welcome to the Written Word. I'm Mick Drain, and this is Caroline Curran. Okay, that was us recording.
Yeah.
Well, you're very welcome to the Written Word interview podcast thingy, Bobby, that I'm doing.
Thank you very much for asking me. Thank you.
And how you keeping?
Doing all right, Mick. You know, just I suppose like everybody, we're just sort of taking over and trying to keep our heads above water and just seeing what's going to happen in the future. It's all very vague, as I'm sure everybody has probably told you anyway, but there's been wee bits and pieces kind of coming and going, and I've noticed a lot more is getting recorded and, you know, put out there, which is, you know, still great for freelancers like myself, just to kind of make money and
keep the
bills. Yeah, keep the bills at bay. Do you know what I mean?
What are you reading at the minute, or do you listen to stuff on Audible, or do you watch stuff on YouTube or podcasts? What's your format for information? Oh, we're frozen.
Oh, sorry, you're breaking up a wee bit.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're back on again.
Oh, it says your internet connection isn't stable. Maybe it's me. Hang on. There, it's great. Start off recording. No, I'm all right. What am I reading at the minute? Well,
do you read for fun, or do you read for research, or is it a bit of both?
I do both. I actually do both. If I'm researching a particular subject, well, to be honest, at the minute I've been reading a lot about strokes, which is really because my mommy had a stroke 12 weeks ago.
Wow.
So yeah, so I've been like knee high in sort of medical terminology, and so anything you need to know about a stroke, I'm on it, which will probably bleed into what I'm going to write. I got an Arts Council grant.
Brilliant! Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was like a big sort of shining light because all the work just evaporated as soon as COVID hit last March. I mean, tech, I've done a few jobs I did with Trisha, you know, Buttercup and stuff, but they were obviously COVID-19 restricted, you know, not in theatre. Well, one was actually in Beaver, but, you know, with a limit of 5 or 10 in the audience away from us. We're completely covered in, you know, all the regulation stuff. Yeah. But from January last year, because I usually take a break, you know, from writing the Christmas show to I had already conceived the brand new one this year, was getting that emotion. And I take February, March off to kind of sort of write the first draft, get all the stuff sorted, and then COVID hit and like everything evaporated. I would have been in Rough Girls, you know, Lynn's play about the Northern Ireland football team. First time, you know, in a sort of co-lyric production, it evaporated. The Real Housewives of Northern Ireland was May and June. It evaporated. It just was like a knock-on effect, just the dominoes, one thing after the other. So I was so thankful to be out in September.
Yeah.
For the short time that it was. So I was reading a lot of medical stuff because this is where I'm going. My Arts Council form I had put in that I wanted to write a play. It was basically like a nurse's guide to surviving COVID. So, but obviously that idea has evolved now because it was obviously based on some of it is based on a friend of mine who you know, who is actually working out in the community now. She's, you know, frontline worker and stuff. So I did a lot of research with her in terms of her job, being on the front line, you know, looking after people and constantly, you know, being aware that COVID could wrap her door at any minute, you know. And so I learned how to do the whole PPE thing and stuff like that for my new play, which obviously has now completely evolved from then, which was like, when I got that grant, it was like May, June, and now we're in December. So it's completely took a spin on its head, but it's going to be a dark comedy.
Good.
So it is.
And when do you think you'll have that?
And it's not a one-man show, so there's going to be a cast because I like, you've seen our Christmas shows, you know, there's usually five people in it. So that's what I've been reading there. And I've read a lot about the COVID, the whole aspect of it, the disease, and now the vaccine that's coming in, just to have some sort of information about it all, you know, because everybody, I know by the time our lockdown and things have evolved, everyone will have a piece about COVID. Everybody, because you know, there's wee snippets of the BBC. We go, if you read a character, don't mention COVID. You know, it's August, September. Everybody's over it. We know it's here. We're living in it. So I'm just it'll be, obviously, it's going to be a highlight of everybody's sort of writing, I think, for the next few years because it'll affected people so much. People go, oh, COVID, I'm sick of hearing it. but it has affected every single person in this world. So everybody will have a different story to tell. And but also it'll be coming, I write very comedy obviously based on my family. So there'll be a bit of that.
Good, good.
So yeah, I'll not be making fun about strokes or anything before anybody thinks she's going to make a laugh of strokes. I'm not going to.
Well, if you can get a couple of stroke gags in, why not?
I know. Well, my mommy seems to have some of herself, and the bird has it. So I'll just keep writing her stuff down. So if anybody shouts at me, I can blame her. And yeah, what else have I been reading? Serial killers. I read a lot of serial killer documentation. Yeah, that's my hobby. That is a hobby of mine. I watch a lot of the documentaries on whatever you can watch them on Netflix or whatever. I watch them all, channel 5+1 of 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, but I've been watching, funny enough, if we were talking about watching stuff at the minute, because I never really got the time, because this is my first 10 years being at home 24/7. It's been nice. It has. You just kind of think you get to that stage, yourself, you kind of embrace it in a way. There's days you go, I'm going insane, I need to go to work. And then there's other days you're like, no, we're okay, nobody's got it yet, we're fine. Just keep kind of doing what we're doing, getting on. So I've been watching, and I never thought I would be into a lot of dramas, because I'm obviously, comedy is my thing and I love it and I love watching it. But I've been doing a lot of drama this time. It just happened to be, it's on at 9 o'clock at night and there's nothing else on.
Yeah.
And then you get into it and you're like, oh, right, okay, that's interesting. And I've been doing it for about a year now. I've been trying to learn to write for TV.
Yeah, a very different thing than for stage.
Written for theatre. Yeah, so I'm trying to do the transference thing. So I've been with NI Screen.
Brilliant.
I'm doing these kind of course to start off with last October, and then it's just workshops now. So writing pitches and giving in ideas, just to kind of to see how I can do it, learn.
Yeah. It's a very different thing, and I suppose film is such a visual medium. But then when you write your comedy, you write a lot of visual stuff, so there's transferable skills there, like, without a doubt.
Well, the first time, like when I was submitting stuff, because obviously dialogue in theatre is a big aspect, where then I had to learn in film and in TV, it's all the visual, it's all the unspoken, and it's one of the producers who's kind of working with us goes, let the actors do the work. It's a famous thing. It's always that, but it's like always less is more. Always, it's the underlying, what's going on behind the look. Their why, and it's what they're saying rather than what you're speaking. It's really, I've only kind of learned that over the past few weeks. So I've written a short film, very short, yeah, for the first time. So I sent that in yesterday, funny enough, because I had a few bits of work this week, and it's supposed to be a Monday, so the Tuesday is the Zoom meeting as well. So, and everybody's been really nice. Like, there's a few great people in there that they're doing the same thing. It's all about learning and evolving the idea and getting feedback, and it's just about, if I'm sitting around doing nothing, I need to be doing something. Does that make sense?
You need to keep the brain active.
Yep. Yeah. So
and also you'd have never got the chance to write for TV or film, because you work all year round. You're constantly on stage or in rehearsals or writing stage stuff, so there's it's a good positive to come out of it.
Yeah, and like the sort of short of written, I've had 3 different ideas, and the one that I've submitted was something that I'd wanted to write about 10 years ago, and it was a stage play originally, and it was 2 guys, whatever. I wonder if I can tell you about it. I will, sure, why not? There's no point. So it's about 2 guys, and so they're just obviously standard in a room and stuff, and it's, why are they there? It's not Waiting for Godot style, because I'm not that good. Do you know what I mean? Whoa, hang on a minute. It's about 2 guys, and they don't know why they're in this room. There's 2 doors, and one's playing keepy uppies, and the other one's just going, what's happening here? Why am I here? Who are you? And so you eventually find out. I must let you read it.
Definitely do.
You find so kind of sort of in the mist, and it just came out of me over the past few nights. But because I had been so centered on making it a full stage play with loads of dialogue and reasons why he's there, what is happening? Is it going to happen? Is this going to happen? What has happened to him? I had all of that in a box somewhere in my head for 10 years, and then it just sort of came out over the past 2 nights.
And was that a process of just sitting down at the laptop and it just flowed?
Yeah, and I never do that. Well, actually, I sit down. I'm still notebook and pen.
Right.
So
Cool.
first, and then get the basis down, the structure down, who it is, and then once like the 3/4 of it is my notebook and pen. And then when I start to type, yourself, you start to get in the flow of dialogue, and then you're like, oh, hang on, and a joke comes in, and you're like, that'll fit there, and you start typing that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's all there to be critiqued. It'll have to go through another process of this is what's right and this is what's wrong, and which is good, I think it's good. But we'll see what happens.
But at least you've been able to sit down and do it. It's the main thing. It's getting it done and getting it in before you get the feedback and seeing where it goes. Would you have 2 or 3 ideas for plays or film floating around at the same time?
Yeah. The first.
How does one come to the surface? It's just something hits you and you go, this is the one I'm on.
I think I'm sort of, obviously with things being so different in my life right now, I think something just hits me. And I don't know whether if it's looking at somebody different or something is said, that something goes off my brain. I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Right. So then I have to go, right, why is that? Why am I thinking about that? Even though I'm sitting talking to you, I'll be thinking, right, okay, the lead on, that's why it's connected to that. It's all a bit weird with my mind. It does about 4 things at once. Even when I do the one-woman shows, I can see scripts in front of me.
Yeah.
So I start to see, like, in terms of writing that film, I started to see them physically in my head and what it looked like and what they were doing and how they spoke and how they looked. Whereas a couple of months ago, I wouldn't have done it. I would have just been, okay, here's the set, here's the entrances and exits of where they have to go on and off, or maybe do a quick change. It's a completely different way of thinking.
Yeah.
And there is one big idea that this is why I'm doing all this it's training, it's brain training and learning, is because I want to write a TV sitcom for Belfast.
Yeah.
Based here, filmed here, with people in it from here.
Yeah.
And that idea, I've told 5 people in my hand. I know it was, and I went with that concept, and they were like, okay, why is this? Why now? Why is this? Why now? And I was like, okay, that's a lot of information that I can't answer right now. So I need to go back. I need to leave it again and go back, because it's not a short film. It's not a play. It's a TV sitcom. It's a dark TV sitcom for here. Because when we floated our first Christmas show, My Big Fat Belfast Christmas, Julie and I, the BBC met us because they went, oh, it's very episodic. It could be, maybe take a transfer over to TV, we were like, happy days. And then we were chatting and we're like, okay, so you need to change this. Maybe, change whatever, you have to go to Glasgow, it'll be filmed there. And I was just like, no. But and that's just the way things are at the minute. Yeah. So I'm obviously going to start a revolution in a couple of years' time.
When no better person for it.
A TV show that's going to be here. I mean, look at Lane and Judy. Look at all the stuff that's done here. Why not? Why not have a comedy show based here with people in it and we know how many actors in this town are amazing, award-winning. Absolutely. Why shouldn't they be working in their hometown doing a really great TV show? Why not?
And is directing something you think will go down now that you're writing more visually?
No, do you know, see, years ago in Biffy and stuff, I did a bit of directing, and I actually directed 2, could you believe it, by Jim Cartwright, and I was also in it, which was weird. It was me and Michael Lennox, who is the director of Dairy Girls. There you go. Fun fact, I know him. Hasn't given me a part, but whatever. We'll have words about that. But yeah, both him and I did the directing course, you know, in that
Yeah.
the module is what I mean, the module, a part of the course. And we enjoyed it. I think he obviously was better at it than me, because I always say I'm not the director's eye, because it's like yourself, you've directed stuff. I can't, like, so in terms of, say, Finn or Tricia or my mate Neil or Julie actually was moving towards that end.
Yeah.
They have completely different eyes from me. They can see things, they can put it on their heads like yourself and spin it, where I go, is that not just a balloon? Is that not just, and not in a stupid way, it's just an innocent, that's the way I perceived that when I wrote that.
Yeah.
But now that you say that you don't see it as a balloon, it's actually something else, that it's a metaphorical aspect, and
Yeah.
that's what makes it funnier. So I don't think I have that eye in terms of maybe producing and you know, all that media kind of marketing. I'm interested in, that I have done, which I do for our shows and things like that. But I'm not sure I have that wee thing that directors have,
But
which
is
is a
that a
special
case?
thing that they can lift something.
Is that a case of, because it's your own work, you're maybe too close to it? Would you ever
Yeah.
try directing somebody else's thing then?
Maybe. I've never really thought about it. It's definitely that. It's
Yeah.
definitely the own work. There is no way, because when you hand it over to somebody else, even like with us, and Finn knows me very well. I'm speaking of Finn because she's directed all my Christmas shows. Like 9 times out of 10, it's vague, you know, it's what I see, but then it's that one extra special percent that elevates what the show becomes. It's that spin that they have.
Well, I suppose that's the thing of writing specifically for stage, where it really is the collaborative process. You think it's one thing, you bring it into your room, and suddenly there's so many other elements. Obviously the actors, but directors and lighting guys and everything else, and suddenly people start to see things that maybe you as a writer, not you necessarily didn't see them, but maybe weren't aware of as much.
Yeah, go ahead.
So are you going to be doing more Christmas shows? Or are you just going to wait and see what happens?
Oh yes, I love doing the Christmas shows, because they're, you know, I like the adults to have a wee something, because Christmas is, you know, very, you know yourself, it's very much kids, Santa, pantos, and they're all amazing. And I just think for one night, you know, out of the 4 weeks of December, you should have a night off of going, I don't want to think for 2 hours whether I'm going to get a PlayStation 5 or not.
Yeah.
You know, or whether Santa's going to come or not, or whether the heating that's going to roll into January and the credit card that I've just maxed to buy the PlayStation 5 is going to get paid. See, for like 2 hours from whatever, 7:45 to 10 o'clock, I want you to come and laugh and go, so yes, I had a whole Christmas show, brand new one, ready to go this year for Theatre de Mille. So it's just, I think, parked, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have it there. He knows what it is. We know the concept of it. It's another brand new one. It's not, because obviously this year we did my Big Fat Belfast Christmas, updated it. It'll be a brand new one.
Was it difficult to write the new one?
I actually asked Rodri to co-write it with me.
Brilliant.
So that I still had that connection to her.
Yeah.
Because that's what made those plays work.
Yeah.
Our connection to each other.
Absolutely. 100%.
I think everyone can see that. I think everyone knows that, you know, and I don't even, I have this Mac like 7 years and I don't even know how did I get away. Anyway, I keep forgetting I'm recording. So yes, I have made her have that each other inside out on our own family histories, which is what made the shows funny. So I had asked Rodri if he wanted. He didn't have to. That would he, because he'd never, obviously, I think he's written pieces, but he's obviously never written a show. Well, he might have, I don't know. I don't think so. But I asked him, would you like to? And he was like, I'd love to. Brilliant. So then before that, we battered about all different ideas of what we wanted to do. Julie and I always come up with 2 concepts.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to him, there is no no's. There's always, okay, but why? You know, so if somebody comes in with an idea of, I want to turn that marshmallow into something to make it the Wizard of Oz. Right, okay. It's not no right away. It's always, okay, why? Let's discuss it. Let's think about the logistics. Let's think about, you know, how are people going to relate to this? How are we going to make people laugh and enjoy this? So yes, the two of us come up. Brilliant concept. It's actually about a hairdresser's obs, you know. I like with the doctors and nurses, with the fly, with the bar, with, you know, it's Wonderful Wee Christmas. We like to tap into favourites, you know. So tinsel, tongs, and the Christmas trimmings was the. Thank you. It's based in hairdressers because you know what hairdressers are like at Christmas time, all sorts. So that's what we come up with. So we'll see. It's there. It's there to be explored, and hopefully we will this year. Fingers crossed.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's a really nice way to do the show, to ask Roger to come. I mean, he obviously is a brilliant actor and a very, very funny guy. So
and like unbelievably smart. Like really, you know, really smart comedy.
Yeah.
I'm very visual, obvious comedy, but you know, everyone knows. He's like, yeah, there's something that'd be nice to explore with him. Julie was the smart comedy.
Yeah. And what has the
Soul's comedy? You know, we something underlying.
And what do you think if we do open up again in a few months? Do you know what your first role back on stage will be, or what?
No, I don't. Well, I do. So Maggie is, fingers crossed, coming back in May in the Grand Opera House.
Fantastic.
So that's the third one. Maggie's Feg run for the last time again, because the other two were done for the last time. This one's getting done for the last time. It's in May. Now, it's got to go ahead the other day because things were being shared. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see. I'm out with Tricia with Buttercup again, January, March, but that is touring. So it'll be different places. But I have no real idea of what's coming in any of the theatres.
Yeah.
Not a clue. Now, there's probably things that's just, I have no idea. Not a clue. Not a clue. It scares me a bit, but then I go, right, I have to be productive then.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so
in terms of how many times have you played the Opera House now in that role?
I have, my goodness.
They've all done it 2 or 3 times, haven't it? Each of the 3 years.
So I'm coming into it'll be 8 years in January.
Wow.
Maggie is going 8 years in January. This is my 7th year. And I've done the Opera House every time with all 4 of them. Sold out every time. It's really odd. It's really funny to say that out loud, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing, but it's like, so they usually do 2 to 3 week seats. So what are you talking? Have you done 12 weeks plus?
Oh goodness!
As a solo performer on stage in a solo show in the Opera House, would that be about right?
What was the first half? Sorry, so what would you say the first half of that sentence?
So they've done, was it usually a 2 or 3 week run per show?
Yeah, first time around, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's 4 shows?
4 of them, yeah.
And most of them have played twice, have they?
Yeah.
So how many weeks is that? You're hitting near 20 weeks. So selling out the Opera House?
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
That's crazy.
I'm just delighted that people are coming back. Like people have seen the shows. No joke. I had a woman come up to me and like, it's funny because we talk about it, but we don't really talk about it because time passes. And then when you hear someone who's booked again and you'll say, oh, I booked again. I've seen this show 6 times. I'm like, you've seen this show 6 times? All of the jokes. It's like, I just love it. The character of Maggie, the people just love her. They just love her. And funny enough, last year, when I did Shebeen in January, and then I think I did, hold on, Julie died in the August. So before that, before the January, so I'm back to the Mac in the January with Shebeen. Before that, in the August, Julie had died. Before that, in the March, they took 50 Shades out for the last time, and it had been 6 years since that had been out, 6 or 5 years. And then the main space at the waterfront, I was in the main space, and Neil Delamere was doing his thing in the studio, and I was like running about going, Neil Delamere's in there. Ah! So I love him. And obviously he was testing out his new material. So I got my photograph taken. He's like, are you the one that's in there? And I was like, yeah.
The waterfront.
Can you put in there? Like walking out.
The waterfront's what, 2,000?
Yes. So they obviously scaled it down, but they built a platform, like a catwalk. That's the only way I can describe it. And I remember when I walked out and I looked up and I went, because you walk out of the opera house and you go, oh, it's huge. You know, same as the Met. You walk out at anything, you see the set and you see the lights and you go, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And when I walked out to the waterfront, I was like, I am not Charlie Lansborough. What is happening? You know what I mean? Tommy Tiernan's in here. This is weird. And so they scaled it all in. So they brought them all closer to me because obviously the stage is so far away. So then they built a catwalk. So then we had to reblock some things on the cuff because I only had a couple of days to rehearse it and do it again. I had to walk out onto the platform so then I could speak to the ones who were basically in the stalls. And I remember the first night because we only did two sold out. I walked out and people had their drinks lined across the catwalk like it was their table. I walked out and there's bottles and bulbers or baggers and I the gin says to me, yo, what's happening? Take out of the road. I was like, I'm gonna get murdered. I'm gonna get murdered. And I come out afterwards and everybody was kind of there and it was all like a brand new audience. It felt like the first time because anybody that was too young to see it the first time were now in their like hitting 20 or in their 20s. So they were bringing new people with them, a lot more men, a lot of men who were with mates. It wasn't like, oh, my wife has dragged me here. Oh my God. And I can't believe that girl's doing that. But they were like, yeah. And you could see them all having the credit and said, that's a balloon, cheesy gag. And they were just still laughing at the jokes, no repeating them as they were going out the door to each other. And no one had, as soon as I take my hair down, no one has a clue who it is. So I just walk around until I speak that they realize that sounds familiar. You know, it's not, and then they go, it's not you. And it's like, no, yeah, it is. And then I'd have a gag. But that was something I'll never forget. It's like the first time selling out the opera house, walking out and hearing, like at the end of the play, and I lay back down on the bed and I got up to take my bow and I felt like the roof had lifted off. That's how loud they were. It was like, I just stood there and went, if I die now, I'll remember this. I'll be happy. If I go now, I'll be all right. And that's the effect that she has on people. Like the remat, that's what I was saying. So then cut to January, did Shebeen in the Mac, and I love going to the Mac because everybody's so friendly and all the staff and all the places, the Lyric, the Opera House and Mac, everywhere I've been are always sound. That's what I love about that. I love the stages, but I love the people. They are amazing. And I can't get that across to them because I always talk to them because I'm on my own. They always take the time to sit and take 5 minutes with me if I need it. If I'm nervous, they'll be like, you okay? And they're amazing. Anyway, all the staff. And this wee man came and I didn't know until I went in the next day and he left me this letter and flowers. This was only January, so be coming up a year. There's my internet's unstable. It's because I'm talking too much. And he left me a letter saying that his wife had died in August. And that was the first that he'd laughed. He'd never seen anything like, and that was Shebeen. So that was the second one. He was in the second row and it was the first he'd been out of the house. What was he? He's coming up to 70. So it was a big birthday and he'd written in the letter, he'd invited me to his birthday party, right? And and he left me a box of chocolates and he just wrote this beautiful, just explaining how much he missed his wife and how he never thought he'd laugh again. And I couldn't believe that I was making him laugh and blah, blah, blah. So because it was his birthday, the next couple of days, I got my daddy to drive me up to his house and I brought him up a wee bottle of whiskey and a birthday card, and I rapped on the door. I just thought, he'll not know who I am, but I'll tell, because he didn't leave a number or anything. He just left me a letter, postal, everything like old school. It was amazing. I still have it. And I rapped on the door and I just says, such and such, do you live here? And the grandson just stood there and looked at me as if, who is this lunatic? And I was like, I'll tell you what it is. Your granda was at my show, and the next minute, and like I walked in, he went, and he was sitting on his chair, and he's just a wee man, and he just went, oh my God, I knew you were going to come here. And I was like, oh, it's lovely to meet you, and blah, blah, blah. Happy birthday. Here's your birthday present. And I just sat and talked to him for a while. And he was like, I can't believe you come up to my birthday. I was like, oh, thanks. Can't go off a show that night. 2 shows. So, yeah, she just has an effect on people like I can't describe. And it keeps me in work. And see, as long as people are willing to come to the shows, which they do, and laugh, I'm happy. No, it's just did it
And
changed over.
And of course, if you're in the opera house, it'll be just after it's been restored, so it'll be stunning inside. It'll be brand spanking, like that's gonna be amazing.
Fingers crossed, it all goes ahead. I'm hoping in my heart it does, because I love getting back there, and then I don't want people to be afraid either, because of everything that's going on and to be affected that way. But I mean, imagine, because there's not, they're not taking any shows before May. Well, basically March is definitely right out. So in there, reopened again. I know there is a couple before me. I'm not sure what shows they are. I don't even know if it's musicals or whatever, but I'm in, and I'll be like, I can't believe I'm in the brand new restored opera house. I'm coming for John Lenihan's star, and the number one, I'm going for it. He knows it. He knows that. I've told him. So yeah, that's me.
That's fantastic.
Taking over. I'm just gotta keep writing. Gotta keep something like, and everybody's going, you've all the time off. And I heard the famous quote the other day, like Shakespeare wrote King Lear during the plague. I was like, good for Shakespeare. Fair play to him. You know what I mean? We're all not going to write King Lear during the pandemic. But who knows what will come out? It's just getting the motivation to do it.
Yeah, I think you need interaction with people to be able to write better.
Absolutely.
It's hearing conversations and we snippets of information. Socializing and connecting people keeps the brain matter going. So being locked up in a room and not seeing anybody, it's a difficult thing to try and write. Then it's.
I've heard a lot of people, writing and stuff like that. It's the missing of people. It's the missing of being in a rehearsal room. It's missing, like, even in the Nero. Sometimes you just take a wander in, or any other coffee shops are available, but everybody knows I'm a big Nero fan. And I just go in, and you can sit for, like, if you want to sit for 10, 15 minutes, but see the people. And the one Rosemary Street's like you have the outside, or something, because fresh garbage is right there. So something is always afoot. So something always interesting is going on, and B&M's right there. So, like, there's so many things that you can gauge from one spot, and you can't even do that now. Well, you can from today, but I'll not be going
today. Yeah,
I mean, I'll not be rushing. Do you know what I mean? To go and sit anywhere. Not for the next way anyway. You just gotta get on. You have to. There's nothing else for it, or else you'll be looking in a different job now. So you will. I'm hoping actors will really, because the love is always, as I always say, it's like, I know people go, it's a vocation. It definitely is a vocation, because if you're sitting on no work, and then you have to do other jobs. I mean, I've written for, like, a Zoom Christmas dinner to, get wages. I said to my mommy a couple of months ago, I'd go and try for Asda or Tesco's, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just knowing that when work hopefully does come back, that I'll be able to go back to it. But you can, hopefully people don't lose too much heart where they go, I can't be bothered with this anymore. I'm going to go and get a real job, But
what's
a real job?
Uh-huh.
Exactly. Maybe I'll take up bacon. Maybe start some sort of bakery, or maybe I'll write a play about a bakery and pretend to be a baker. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much me. What about? Did I get to ask you about you now? What about you?
What about you? Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm just keeping the head down, doing a wee bit of writing, but not putting too much pressure on myself. Just looking at different formats, really, of how it's going to work.
Would you think about transferring, like, Lemonade Sandwich or anything into short or TV form?
Yeah, I'll probably look at short stuff. I enjoyed making a wee film a few months ago. I never intended to make a film. It was meant to be a play, then just we couldn't get anywhere open.
Yeah.
So I definitely enjoyed the process. And as you say, it's a very different thing. So I suppose it's just playing about with what can be done. I'm kind of interested with what can be done online. And maybe the theatre or live performance needs the audience. They're the key ingredients. So it's figuring out, is there something in between that can be done online or done online live, or does it not work? Do you have to be in the room and or watching it recording? So play about with it, but I'm not putting any stress on myself to do it. It's play about with stuff, and obviously, any venue, whenever venues reopen, be it in a few months' time or later, they have to put in shows that are going to sell and going to make dough. So it'll probably come. I don't know where new writing fits in amongst that.
Yeah.
It was always a big risk, when they were selling at auditoriums at full capacity.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what the deal is. I'll probably end up doing something else. I'm not quite sure about a real job, but I'll do something just to keep the dough ticking in.
Yeah.
And see where it goes. Who knows?
Yeah. Because obviously you did the good room and stuff, and it was all brilliantly shot and brilliantly acted and things. So do you think that's maybe...
I mean, I did it on my phone in the end.
Wow.
So yeah, but I bought an iPhone and went, right, I'll give this a go. And it was definitely very interesting to do, but it was certainly something just specifically of the moment that I had to give myself a kind of time frame to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's see whether or not I carry on doing things like that aren't necessarily income generating, but just become things that I want to work on and do is fine by me, So
like I have always said, see if you're in this game to make money, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Good luck to you. There is a different kettle of fish, which is brilliant if you make money. Absolutely brilliant. But see for myself, I go, I'm gonna do this. This is a part I want to do. This is a play I want to write. I don't give a fiddler's if it makes me any money, as long as I get to do what I love doing.
Yeah.
I love it when I love it when everybody makes a bit of money, and it's great to have a wage. What who doesn't want to have a wage? That's amazing, as long as you're comfortable, but you're doing exactly what you want to do. You're being on stage, you're writing whatever, it's something is happening that you're not sitting at home going, I wish I was doing that. Wish I was doing that. Do you know what I mean? I've always said, see if you're in it for the money, good luck to you. Because you get people asking you, what's your job pay like? I'm like, what's your job pay like? Right? Yeah.
I mean, I suppose that's certainly something that I've been looking at this year is, for me, you regret the things you don't do or the time you don't have. And that's kind of, so in the same way what you're saying there about, you're better off doing it than sitting saying, I wish I was doing it. You don't want the regrets of going, I wish I had sat down and wrote that film. I wish I had gone with that idea. And it's better to do it and have them sitting there. And if you manage to get them on stage or on film, fantastic. But if not, they're still there to work on. They're still there to have, if you do have something successful and they go, do you have anything else? You can go, do I have anything else?
Here's my cupboard.
Yeah.
And what is it, that famous saying? They always say, is it 98% luck and 2% talent?
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? It just takes that one thing for people to tap into and go, actually, there might be something in that, and I totally believe that. It's just, you have to keep going. You just have to. There's nothing else for it.
And would you be in the, reading books? Would you be in the kind of positive thinking books or podcasts or stuff like that? How do you keep yourself positive? How do you keep yourself going right and going to keep at it?
I know. Well, would you believe too? I bought The Secret.
Yeah.
I bought it a couple of months ago, right? Because there was a documentary on Netflix, right? And because I put on the subtitles and I get bored anyway. So I thought, I'm going to buy that book. Just give them the money. Give me the secret to the universe for £6. I don't know. And I bought it and I started to go through it. So then for the crack, I set up a WhatsApp group, and there's a few well-knowns in it, and I used to send them a picture of a day. This is how your day is going to go. Quote, the universe will open the gate and you can walk out it. That's what's going to happen. You're going to end up out the gate. And you're like, so I'm just going to walk out the gate and I'll be out the gate. Right. That's secret is amazing. I'm delighted I know that now. I'm going to make millions. It's going to be great. So I used to send quote of the day, right? And then it was just, the replies were hilarious. And then it was like, you know, what you put out into the universe is what you're going to get back in. And basically, if you put in hard work, you'll reap the benefits. But they're selling it like they know. So I was like, I totally bought into it for a bit of crack. And then everybody's going, she's going to start a cult or something. I says, I'm going to start a positivity cult. We're all going to be millionaires. There'll be no room for anybody else. So I read that, funny enough. And I was wondering, and it's just like common sense. It really, really is. Just like if you put
a lot of them seem to have the same thread of the same thing. If you put the work in, if you put positivity out there, if you just have a go and don't worry about the naysayers or the haters, something good will come back. So
yeah, and I do always try and find the good in them, even if you know bad situations happen and it's horrendous, and you kind of have to go right. You either lie under it or you pick something out of it and try and run with it so that your head tries to get some sort of sense. That's what I have to do, because you end up going to bed, pulling the covers over, and never getting out again. You would?
Yeah, pretty much.
And
well, Caroline, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for speaking to me.
No
I feel like I was in therapy session. Maybe you shouldn't send that out as a recording. Maybe I'll write about it.
Why not? Why not? Indeed. Thank you.